Hello and welcome to CTV News across Canada for Tuesday, January 6th. We've got the top local stories from coast to coast, stories that affect you and the country. Thanks for joining us.
It was snowing hard again this morning. It may be a new year, but it's the same old thing for people and their shovels.
In many years, a real winter, right? So the way how it's supposed to be.
Another challenging trip to work for many. Repeated days of new snow starting to add up. In Barrie, more than 200 centimeters of snow already this season.
Oh, this is by far one of the worst years we've ever seen, and it's only, January. 2 years ago, all we got was about 220 centimeters. So it's certainly been an epic year.
Massive view-blocking snowbanks are becoming an issue in many communities in the region. People running out of space for the unwanted snow. You running out of space?
Yes, space for the snow blower, space for the snow, everything.
The snowbanks are just getting big, aren't they?
They are, they're huge. I think we've got the biggest.
Those snowbanks in the downtown making it difficult for foot travel and even spaces for recycling and garbage collection.
Now, the city of Barrie will be back in the downtown tonight, clearing away these ever-growing snowbanks. Normally a 2-day job that started last night will take 4 nights to do this time.
I have to lift my leg up to climb over everything, and I have to make sure I don't slip and fall, because if I fall again, I'm going to wreck my knee.
Professional snow clearing companies very busy right now trying to keep up with demand.
It seems to be nonstop. Yeah, we're getting calls left, right, and center all day.
Michael Ainger's company clears rooftops professionally. He says it's not just the amount of snow on rooftops people need to worry about.
The snow covers the vents. Heat can't escape. You get condensation, you get mold growth. It's a big problem that people don't even realize with that snow on.
Ainger says if you do hire someone to clear your rooftop, make sure they are a professional with insurance. Rob Cooper, CTV News, Barrie.
Bonnie Minard is the executive director of the Portland Daycare Center in Dartmouth. Her 91 spaces are spoken for.
Accessibility is unfortunately not great.
She has a wait list, but parents could be on it for years, especially those waiting for spots for infants.
I have 8 infant spaces. My wait list for infants is 385. So when you look at how many people are actually going to get a spot, it's disheartening for families that, have put their name on the list for years that may never get in.
I would apply as soon as you find out you're pregnant.
That still wouldn't have been soon enough for Josie Tulaney, whose first child is now 8 months old, and her maternity leave is almost up.
I reapplied again with other daycares, I was reapplying, and I just got an email from one place that said we have a 2-year wait list.
Tulaney isn't sure what she's going to do.
We can't live on one income for another year, so it's very stressful, and I'm trying to figure out what to do. Where can I leave my child, right?
Minard has been trying to open more spots at her daycare for years. As for what it would take to make that happen,
permission from the government, funding. We would definitely be interested. We have expressed interest previously.
A recent study from the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives says the provincial government has met funding targets in a bilateral agreement with the feds, but there are challenges when it comes to issues like affordable fees and enough regulated childcare spaces. One of the authors of the report says extra funding for childcare should be in the next provincial budget, and that every dollar spent on childcare has a return on investment of up to $6. Jonathan McGinnis, CTV News, Dartmouth.
A Brantford building up in flames. It's a place Ken Wallace remembers fondly. He worked at the property when it was an auto body shop in the 70s.
A fellow I used to work with, he lives in Oshawa now, and he texted me and said that our old stomping ground was on fire.
He made the trip in from Mount Pleasant to see the aftermath.
I was actually shocked because I didn't expect it to be already demolished.
The fire happened at a vacant building Sunday on Grand River Avenue.
We got the call at approximately 2:30 on Sunday morning. Crews did a great job under the conditions that they had to keep the fire contained to that building and to save the surrounding structures with it.
People who live in the area left in shock from seeing the building ablaze.
It would seem like it'd go out and then flames would just start shooting out again.
Emergency crews say putting it out was difficult.
It was a defensive fight, so the crews were fighting the fire from the outside, and with the collapse of some of the areas, it just protected some of the spots in the building so they couldn't get water at it.
Firefighters spent more than 24 hours dealing with the flames.
They were able to call Lost Stop earlier this morning.
Over 2,700 people were left without power. As cleanup efforts continue, people who live nearby where the fire broke out told me earlier today that their power has since been restored. However, students who go to school here at Brantford Collegiate Institute didn't have any classes in person on Monday. The Grand Erie District School Board sent a notice out to students and staff about the closure due to a lack of heat in the school. The building has been demolished, and the cause of the fire remains under investigation.
It was a two-story commercial industrial building. From the information that we've had, it was primarily used for storage.
While the flames have been extinguished, the property's history will be remembered.
Emotional because, a lot of good times, a lot of fun times, and, you always hate to see your past move on without you.
Kara Smapp, CTV News, Brantford.
Some Venezuelan Londoners are speaking out following the capture and removal of Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro.
My reaction has gone through the biggest happiness to the biggest worries.
Local Londoner Margarita Sanchez Favreau says she has lived in Canada for 22 years, but will always care about her home country.
I don't think that Trump is doing that for the right reasons. I think that he's moved by power, by interest, even personal interest, not only the United States interest.
While Favreau is skeptical of Trump's motives, she says she is glad Maduro is no longer in power.
Been more than 26 years with this dictatorship. We're desperate to finish this.
Local Venezuelans say the coming days will be difficult. Although they're hopeful positive change is on the way, they say the looming uncertainty makes it difficult to celebrate.
This morning I told my boss, if I start crying, please be patient with me because I am not in the best mental state. I am worried. I'm very worried.
Favreau says the invasion has caused panic among locals as their future remains unclear. But there is one thing she wants them to know.
Keep it strong and don't give up. Like one day we have to get rid of this. One day we have to finish with this government.
Lauren Stallone, CTV News.
In advance of the United States' attack on Venezuela, the U.S. warned commercial airlines to avoid flying within 100 miles of Venezuelan airspace. Courtney Almeida was scheduled to fly home from Costa Rica on January 2nd, but when she got to the airport, it was chaos.
It was crazy. People are just on the floor for 3.5, 4 hours, and then we're going to fly, and then it's delayed again, canceled again. So, at one point I was told to sleep on the floor of the airport.
Almeida says she spent the entire next day waiting for the airline to sort through the backlog. Instead of a direct flight home to Toronto, she was eventually put on an overnight flight to Montreal. As of Monday afternoon, she'd been waiting over 36 hours for a connection.
I was at the hotel last night. I've arrived here today, and I've already been told my flight is delayed.
On Sunday, Donald Trump threatened further military intervention in neighboring Colombia and predicted the government in Cuba is on the verge of collapse. Canada has not issued any new travel advisories for the region, but over the weekend, Air Canada said it would allow customers flying to several Caribbean countries to change their destinations at no cost.
In their case, it's a smart move because they have to get less people out of the country that if it gets shut down.
Travel agent Catherine Villan says she expects some people will think twice about traveling south this winter, but says Cuba has always been a popular destination despite the political situation.
People are pouring into Cuba even when there was no food and there was no toilet paper. I mean, that didn't seem to faze people in the slightest. They just packed it and went.
Sunwing says it's monitoring the situation and at this time is not seeing any significant impact on bookings. At the Montreal airport, Quebecers destined for Cuba had no plans to cancel.
Because I pay. I want to go to playas.
No, I'm not worried about it.
For Almeida, though, who has already been caught up in the fallout, it's not worth the risk.
At one point, I honestly just started crying because I kind of felt like I'm never going to get home, you know? So I'm really hoping I don't have to miss a second day of work.
Travel agents say this is a good reminder to make sure you have travel insurance, especially in these unpredictable times. Matt Gilmore, CTV News.
Handcuffs emerges from the Yorkdale TTC subway station and then is escorted to a waiting police cruiser. That arrest also posted on social media after passersby in what was a very busy area at the time recorded what they were seeing.
Yeah, I can tell you that he fled the scene on foot towards the subway.
Homicide investigators say they were searching for a man in his late 20s wanted for brazenly shooting another man aboard a GO bus around 7 p.m. When they arrived,
officers located a male suffering from a gunshot wound. Sadly, that male has succumbed to his injuries.
A Metrolink spokesperson confirms police were on scene at Yorkdale GO following an incident last night around 7 p.m. The remaining passengers and GO staff were safely removed from the bus. The station has reopened and service has resumed. All morning, the bus in question remained at the GO bus terminal and would not be released from the scene until mid-afternoon, where, flanked by police cruisers, it was taken away for forensic examination.
It's terrible. I travel on the GO bus all the time.
Are you shocked?
Yes, on a bus. It's terrible. You can't go anywhere anymore.
Police are trying to reassure the public, saying officers made a quick arrest and were also able to recover a gun. However, GO patrons say they're very shaken by what happened.
It's not safe here anymore.
Scary, scared, honestly, terrified.
It's not safe, you know. Anywhere like here in Toronto now, it's not safe, I'm telling you.
While police have not said this was a targeted attack, nor have they released a possible motive, they say there are no outstanding suspects. Police are now asking anyone who was around the GO bus terminal yesterday at 7 p.m. to contact them or Crime Stoppers anonymously so they can help collect evidence. Reporting live, I'm Janice Golding.
Fund healthcare, not real estate.
This small rally taking place east of downtown over the noon hour. CUPE members at Ontario Health at Home were part of a province-wide day of action against the provincial mandate to be in the office 5 days a week. They say they've been able to deliver essential home care services remotely for years, and the move doesn't make sense.
Our employer has gotten rid of a lot of real estate, and so it's going to take millions of dollars to accommodate us all into the office. It's causing chaos, and it's just the morale with people. And yeah, this money could be spent a lot more into our public healthcare system.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford says the move is in line with the current workforce landscape right across the province, and that arrangements can be made for some workers if necessary.
It's great to get everyone back to work like every other normal citizen. You know, you go out there and you show up 5 days a week. And there's arrangements. If they can't make it in, they're going to have to work within the bureaucracy, the OPS. They all have their managers.
Ford also praised Ottawa Mayor Mark Sutcliffe. As of Friday, all city employees also had to report to the office 5 days a week. Federal government workers are also watching all of this closely. They have to be in the office 3 days a week right now, but there has been speculation that could also change this year.
The Community Drug Strategy released data from January to October of 2025, indicating a slight decrease in drug toxicity deaths.
Local data suggests that from January 2025 to October 2025, there have been 102 drug-related deaths. In comparison to the same period, so 2024, January to October, we saw 117 people that have died from a suspected drug poisoning.
Rezo Access Network said a decline in overdose deaths alone does not mean the crisis is improving. It highlights the urgent need to strengthen integrated responses in Northern Ontario, including harm reduction.
Healthcare is the #1 responsibility of a provincial government, and right now they are failing. They failed 102 people in the first 10 months of this year, and they fail, as I said, an average of 2 people every single week in our community.
We still have a long way to go. Substance use was increasing since around 2005, though not as quickly. Given it has been a concern for 20 years in the making now, this sadly may take quite some time to undo.
Some feel that one death is still too many, and Kayla Pellin said, Mortality data tells us who is dying. It does not tell us how many are suffering, nor how preventable that suffering truly is.
The numbers are still way too high. Am I happy it's going down? Yes, but it's still way too high. We have at least 2 people every single week die in our community of preventable death.
I think it's important to recognize that each number does represent a human being.
Over the past 3 years, over 20,000 doses of naloxone were distributed over Manitoulin Island and Sudbury area to help lessen deaths that both government employees and frontline workers agree are preventable. Madison Marier, CTV News, Sudbury.
Even hospital officials themselves have been feeling the brunt of flu season.
I myself have had a couple of bouts of illness this year, and I'm not usually prone to that.
And that widespread illness is translating into higher than normal emergency department volumes at both Windsor Regional Hospital and Erie Shores Healthcare, particularly from respiratory infections and flu-related complications. In fact, public health data shows flu activity climbing quickly in Windsor-Essex, jumping from about 70 cases in the first week of December to more than 200 cases by the final week of the month.
We haven't seen such a high number since more than 10 years.
Here at this pharmacy in LaSalle, staff say it's not just that more people are getting sick, it's that symptoms are lasting longer this year as multiple viruses circulate at the same time.
We've seen in the past, I would say 7 to 10 days usually should see a complete clearing of symptoms. I've had a couple questions about people with lingering symptoms for up to 3 weeks.
Windsor Regional says all of this has led to longer than usual emergency department wait times, averaging about 3.5 hours to see a physician during the first few days of 2026. But officials add that's just an average and may not reflect how long someone with a less than urgent need may have to wait. That's why patients with more mild symptoms are being urged to consider other care options like visiting a walk-in clinic or seeking help from a pharmacist, where prescribing powers have been expanded in recent years. But pharmacy owner Rob Modestino says he'd like to see those powers go further.
We're allowed to prescribe for COVID, but we're not allowed to prescribe for the flu, so it doesn't really make any sense.
And hospital officials say people with non-urgent medical concerns can also call Health 811 to speak with a registered nurse or consider other virtual care options. But all this is not to scare away those who are experiencing serious or life-threatening symptoms. They are still encouraged to call 911 and head to the emergency room, no matter the wait time.
2 days, 2 locations vandalized. One with anti-Semitic graffiti, another windows smashed and racist message. Police have not connected them, but say there is no place for hate in Winnipeg.
We take these events very seriously. I don't care if it's a broken window. I don't care if it's graffiti on a bus bench. With what's happening in our world today, we can't afford to not take these seriously, and we do.
Police are investigating 2 incidents. Around 4:30 a.m. on Friday morning, several swastika symbols were sprayed on the Shaarei Zedek synagogue.
What happened was an act to intimidate and frighten and isolate the Jewish community, and we will not let that happen.
Then, around the same time on Sunday morning, a Palestinian-owned restaurant was hit. Windows were broken, and a message was left at Habibi's Cafe near Polo Park, saying, quote, "Leave our country, terrorists," and ending with a profanity.
It's overwhelming. The amount of stress, the amount of the staff that are scared, my parents are scared.
Winnipeg police said during a press conference Monday that dedicated hate crime investigators are looking into both incidents. Inspector Jen McKinnon stressed the investigations are in the early stage. Advocates for both the Muslim and the Jewish community are calling on all levels of governments to step up.
What we need to see is clear action from our elected officials at all levels of government, right? So we need to see clear recognition of anti-Palestinian racism in its intersections with Islamophobia.
Our politicians and our leaders need to be vocal and condemn it as much as they can.
Police say anyone with information is asked to contact the Major Crimes Unit or Crime Stoppers.
Harrison, how many hate crimes are reported here in Winnipeg in recent years?
Marilyn, Winnipeg police say we had 28 charges of hate-motivated crimes in 2022. In 2023, however, the number jumped nearly twice, 46 charges. In 2024, it was 44. Numbers for 2025 are not yet available. They said there could be more that haven't been reported.
The NDP say it has been one thing after another when it comes to the cost of living. There have been rent increases, high grocery bills, and now proposed rate hikes at SGI and SaskPower.
It's time for someone to stand up for the seniors, for the students, for the working people in this province who are struggling.
Last week, SGI said it will seek a 3.75% insurance rate increase in June and again in 2027. SaskPower is proposing 2 years of 3.9% hikes. The NDP is calling for an emergency sitting of the legislature to take action on the cost of living.
Starting immediately so that we can pass the Rent Control Act and to cut taxes on groceries and children's clothing and to consider any other measures that might provide some relief.
Increasing costs are of concern to many Saskatchewan residents.
Rent control at a provincial level would be something I'd like to see implemented.
I haven't been out for supper probably in how long, and haven't been out to a Pats game or a Rider game, so I don't know, everything's just becoming expensive.
For me, I want to see rent control and increased tenant protection.
In a written statement, the provincial government said the 2025-26 budget delivered the largest income tax reduction since 2008 and reduced education property tax mill rates. The provincial government will introduce its next provincial budget in March. That's when the province will reveal any further measures to help residents deal with the cost of living. Wayne Mantika, CTV News, Regina.
Despite a recent report detailing hundreds of disabled students being excluded from Saskatchewan classrooms, the Saskatchewan NDP says the province isn't addressing the issue.
We know for a fact that students will show up to schools today and be sent home because the supports and the resources that they need to succeed in school simply don't exist.
Last month, Inclusion Saskatchewan estimated up to 1,350 students with complex needs were excluded from class during the last school year, largely because of limited resources and supports. Love called for action in time for students returning from the break. Now he's asking the provincial ombudsman to investigate the exclusions.
It makes me sad. Like, these are our kids. These are kids who, according to the Education Act, have a right to education.
The province says ensuring that every student has access to education is a priority. It says funding to school divisions increased by more than 8%, and a specialized classroom model was expanded by 50 classrooms this school year, adding, "We understand there are pressures and challenges in the school system, and we are committed to working with school division partners to provide every opportunity for students to succeed." Love says he understands the difficult position school boards and teachers find themselves in, saying they're removing kids from class as a last resort.
That's not a healthy system. If they're turning to a last resort that consistently, I think that's a big warning sign.
Love wants to see the province respond with some urgency, while the province says it's the school division's responsibility to assess student needs and make staffing decisions. Keenan Sorakhan, CTV News, Saskatoon.